I'm sorry, this guy is not here right now. He ran early after watching this terrible movie. No. That's never happened. Although I wish. Alright. So I must have been very delusional the first time I watched this. Okay, so here's what happened the first time I watched this. So I bought all these movies together. I bought the first two in a double pack. And then this one was in another collection with other movies. One of them was like the original Wrinkle in Time movie or something. Some cheap Miramax films they threw on a set. You can get this by itself, but it's strangely expensive. I don't know. And I binged all three of them. And after watching all three of them, back when I got these, I was like, okay, the third one is obviously the worst, but it's not that bad. Well, over the years, a few years ago, I watched all 3 days with my son, and when we got to the third one, after we got done, I went, wow. He's like, what? I'm like, that was bad. I mean, that was bad. Like, what happened? So I watched it again today, and wow, that was bad. Like, oh, what happened to this franchise? Like, there is little, and when I say little, there is a little good with this, but the story revolves around Bastion and his dad. His dad's getting remarried to a woman who has a daughter, a divorcee, and they're starting a new family, and he has to go to a new school. And while there, he finds that Mr. Coriander is the librarian because, you know, destiny, and he finds the book. However, there is a group of bullies led by Jack Black. Yes, you heard me right, Jack Black. What? Called the Nasties. That's our villain. We had the Nothing, the Empty, and the Nasty. And yes, they do have a line where the childlike Empress, Wilganette, says, "You must not give in to the Nasty." Well, yeah, the Nasties are the villains. So I looked up some information on this. Michael Ende, who wrote the book, had a lot of contributions to the original film when it came to with Wolfgang Peterson directing. The next film, he didn't. They basically had to run everything by him, and he would get his opinions, but he really didn't have anything to do it. This one, he had nothing to do, and the studio was free to do whatever they wanted. Can you tell? It's also, in part, that really everything from the book was done, basically. So it was basically a restart. Like, they brought back characters like the Rockbiter, and Engi Wook and his wife, the little gnomes from the first film, are back. And Falkor, our favorite flying tampon, is back, and he is they bottomized him, and he's this wise luck dragon that used to help our heroes is now Patrick's star. I hope there's something to get rid of dragons in here. Bastion. That's literally his voice. What baffles me is how they look. This was done by the Jim Henson Creature Shop. They did the Ninja Turtles in the first 2 films. They look great. The only thing I think of is budget. And that is the big thing here, is budget. A big complaint from people is that, well, where's Fantasia? We're in there for 5 minutes. Yeah, because the budget wouldn't allow them to do anything in Fantasia in this one. So it has to be in the real world. And whatever budget we had, i.e. the costumes, are what we use. So after we see this very badly animated landscape, we see this old man in a costume. This old man who apparently records all the dialogue in Fantasia, and it forewarns of the nasties. Basically, we cut to medium res, where we have Bastion with kooky hair running from the nasties. We got our first look at Jack Black with a shaved head. This was 1996, or 1994, so this was before Independence Day, or Mars Attacks, excuse me. Mars Attacks, wasn't it? Or was it the same year as Mars Attacks? I don't know. I don't care. And yes, Bastion is recast again. He has been recast with Jason James Richter, the kid from Free Willy. And boy, was that the selling point. Seriously. They would say, Neverending Story 3, starring Jason James Richter from Free Willy. That was their selling point. That they got the kid from Free Willy to be the star of this movie. I remember seeing the trailers coming out on TV. They heavily emphasized this. That it's the kid from Free Willy. He's in this movie. Go watch it. Bring your kids. Yeah. He's running from them and hides in a closet in the library where he reads from the book. But then gives us our exposition. Why? We get the exposition, like I said, his dad remarried. And here's one of my likes. From a logical standpoint, this would be a good continuation of the story, right? You know, Bastion's dad has moved on. He's found a new wife. Maybe you don't need the sister, but he's found a new wife. Maybe she's pregnant. Something that will parallel in My Girl 2. Maybe they're going to have a new baby and Bastion's feeling lost now. He's like, oh, they're going to have a baby and then forget about me and all that stuff. So he retreats into the Neverending Story again. Something like that. But, no. And for some reason, they're moving into the mom's house, even though, generally, when people get married, they move into the man's house. The dad's house is where they move. When my mom and my stepdad got married, they moved into his house. That's how it works. We're moving into her house because we got to have he's going to a new school, fish out of water type situation. They still could have moved. Right? Again, bring into this. They're pregnant. She's pregnant. They need a bigger house because all they have is the 2-bedroom from the first 2 movies. So they need another bedroom, or Bastion's going to have to share his room. They're going to need a nursery for the baby, so they move into a 3-bedroom. That way, I could write this better. And we don't need the sister, because the sister only serves to prove a point. We'll get there. So, the Nasties. Here's another like. I like the Nasties. Jack Black is great, of course. And I like the kid, the dog, I think his name is in this. He played Stinky Stembler on iCarly, the episode with the stakeout. Ice Stakeout, I think it was called. Stinky Stembler! Or Spanky Stembler. Spanky Stembler! Spanky, not Stinky. Spanky. Because he spanks everyone. Yeah, we're not going to get into that fetish, but anyway. Yeah. I like him too. He's like, yo, Balthazar! His name is Bastion Balthazar Bucks. Why would you say your whole name? But he runs from the Nasty. He meets the Nasties. He meets Mr. Coriander, who tells him the book cannot leave the library. By the way, the book looks completely different now. Because they couldn't just... They didn't have the prop from the first 2 films. I don't know. It's been 10 years, so they didn't have it. But they couldn't make something look more like the original one. This one is bigger. It's like inside is bigger. So he retreats into the book to get away from the Nasties, crashing on Ingewook and his wife's house, and then he goes to meet the childlike Empress. I say childlike because, like I said in the last one, they recast her in each movie, so why don't they recast her younger? I feel like they keep recasting her as older, because I said the last one looked like she was a teenager, and this one, I always thought she looks like she's 30. But apparently, she's 21. 21, which means she has two very important things that prove she's not childlike. Yes, 21-year-old childlike empress. What is their deal with this? Why? Why can't they get this right? The only time she was childlike was the first one. I know that the whole thing is whole character's age. Not when you're the childlike empress and she's there with her sidekick Megamind. I mean, look at this guy. He's got a big blue head. What else was I supposed to say? Yeah. Oh, we also catch up with our favorite rock biter, who looks incredibly different and smaller because the costumes that fit people in him. His wife. Yeah, she was briefly mentioned in the last one. And Junior. All of these people are voiced by the same person. Junior, go Becky! And so, I don't know where they're going. He's going to meet Bastion, I guess. And on the way there, we get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Yes, we get a version of Born to be Wild sung by the rock biter. Sounds like someone gargling Drano. That I'm gonna make it happen. Send the world in a love embrace. I can't even keep doing it. It hurts my throat. And then yes. There's also a tree walking around at this point too. We kind of just follow him walking around for no reason other than we know something's going to happen with him. So Bastion finds the childlike empress in a cave and then wishes to go back, and Engiwook, his wife, Falcor, the tree, and Junior all end up going with him. Yeah, you know the subtitle of this was called Escape Fantasia? Or Escape from Fantasia? I know the subtitle was Escape to Fantasia, which only suits the beginning of this. Because Escape the Nasty wouldn't have sold for kids, I guess. The Wrath of Jack Black. Whose name is Slip, by the way. I don't know. But, he's taking too long, and now the Nasties have the book. And here is where the biggest problem of the movie is for me. It was one of the biggest problems in the last one, and here it is now. Bastion goes to use the Orin to wish, and the childlike empress says, "No, Bastion, you can't." And I'm like, well, why the fuck not? And look, there was some leeway on the last one, okay? But basically he goes, "No, Bastion, why not? Because if you did, the movie would be over. That is the only reason why. Because this movie could be over so quickly. Almost 40 minutes in, this movie could be over like that. And let me tell you how. I wish I had the Neverending Storybook. I wish the Nasties were in the North Pole. I wish all of the Fantasians were back in the book. Never-ending story. Right there. 3 wishes would be all it took. And it'd be over within 40 minutes time. We'd now go home and have some pie, but no, we can't do that because movie needs to keep going. And this is demonstrated when the sister, the stepsister, gets a hold of the Orin and starts using it the way it should be used, to wish for frivolous things like clothes. Yes. Also, this teacher should be fired. So, like, Nicole and her friend are talking, and this one girl who was from an episode of the episode Tale of the Dream Girl. Are You Afraid of the Dark pops in and says, "Oh, I got my mom's credit card." And the teacher comes and goes, "I'll take that. You can get that from the principal." And I'm like, no, you can't just take that. There's no reason for you. There's no probable reason for you to take it from her. And then she sees Nicole has the urn and goes, "Give me that and you can get it back at the end of the day." I'm like, no, you haven't. She's just holding it. You can't just take something from a student. The class hasn't even fucking starting yet. And this is also she could use the first wish to get rid of her. Basically. To go back into her cage. I guess is what she says. And it just, like, I understand why they did it, but this teacher would be fired in real life, because I hope she would, for being that way. You can't just take things from students because you want to. And that's really all that she's doing it for. There was no reason to take the credit card. There was no reason to try to take the urine other than to be a bitch. That's what it is. And those kind of teachers should be fired. Because they really don't care. They're just there to collect a paycheck if they're that way. I'm just saying. Then she goes on a shopping spree, right? And yes, there's a bunch of stuff about the Fantasia creatures trying to get back to Bastion, which miraculously they all somehow find their way there. The tree ships himself there on a logging truck, and then the gnomes end up in Nome, Alaska, and ship themselves there in the mail. How they knew the fucking address is beyond me. And then Falcor finds Junior, and they fly there. Actually, he ends up in a New Year's Eve parade or something. Chinese New Year parade or something. Where, you know, eventually the nasties get a hold of the Orin. And it leads to everything getting out of whack. Everything in Fantasia, everything on Earth, just getting nasty, basically. I do like when Jack Black calls the childlike Empress Wilma, and she goes, "My name is not Wilma." Yeah, that's right. It's Jane Tired. You remember? I remember. Remember? You remember? Remember? But yeah. So this leads to the parents are having issues because this thing's going on. Then we lead to our showdown between the Free Willy Kid Bastion and Jack Black. And again, I don't get it. Bastion has the urn. He's about to make a wish and put it down, Balthazar. Be a real man. Put it down. But no. Set him on fire. Wish him to Alaska. Wish him to the North Pole. Put him in his underwear. Just do something. Then Nicole starts to read from the book. Bastion puts the urn down. What? No! And then all those years of karate classes, which he says he only took 2, starts to come back to him. It becomes a combination of Bruce Lee, Steven Seagal, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Bruce Lee? Sure. Jean-Claude Van Damme? Yes. Steven Seagal? He barely knows martial arts. What's he going to do? Eat a carrot at them? So, yeah, and then he does all this stuff to Jack Black, and they get out of there. They see Falcor and run away, even though they'd seen Falcor before, but this caused them to run away. She's reading this all, by the way, in the book. And then she says that the Rockbottom family are having problems, and then their family is having problems, so they give the Orin to the Fantastic people. They wish themselves back. Done it back 40 minutes in. A 40-minute movie wouldn't have been that bad. Anticlimactic, sure, but so was this climax. And then they run back, and like reconcile with their parents and everything is happy. And then we cut back to the school. Like all the people in Fantasia go back. The tree lives in the forest. Junior goes back to them. The gnomes get to pee finally. Yes, that is a running thing. They really need to go to the bathroom, but everyone's too busy. There's no time. So when they get back to Fantasia, they go right to their separate potties for apparent reasons. Because pee humor. Pee pee poo poo pee pee poo poo. And then we go back to the school where the nasties are now bookworms. And it's basically said that Bastian did this. He didn't have the Orin. He couldn't do it. He didn't have the Orin. So how could he do it? He gave the Orin to the Fantasia people. They took it with them. He couldn't do it unless he made contact with them and they did it. Only thing I think of, and Mr. Coriander wants the book back. He does, but he says that the story's not over yet. Well, yeah, it is, because this bombed so hard they didn't do another one. And then we get the high five from the two siblings who now. By the way, I'm sorry, but like when they reunite, she's calling Bastian's dad, and it just doesn't feel right. Like it's not earned, right? And he's calling her mom. It's like, no, this is not earned. Especially Bastian would not do that, because the last two movies he was so concerned about his mom. We're gonna get to my biggest problem in a minute, but yeah, and then we end with Falcor flying. Oh, this is my favorite part, and he just flies to the castle. I'm like, what, that? Yeah, and the movie ends. But here's my biggest problem. So, at one point, when Bastian is in his room, his dad comes to talk. His dad is now recast as Kevin McNulty, Canadian actor. I've seen in Stargate, Atlantis. You saw him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. But he's now recast. And with that recast comes a retcon. Because he's talking to Bastian, and Bastian doesn't just outright say, well, I've gotten in some trouble with that book from the last one, from last time, the Neverending story that we gave back to Mr. Coriander. Well, he's the new librarian, and I found the book, and now a bunch of the creatures from that book are here, and I gotta find a way to get them back. Doesn't say any of that, because whoever wrote this fucking movie didn't realize that probably didn't watch the last movie. All that great character development between Bastian and his dad, flushed down the goddamn toilet. I felt like the movie would have been at least a little smoother if the dad was in on it and had to keep some of the stuff away from the mom. Maybe that could have added to the issues that they had. And then when the nasties got a hold of it and started to turn them, it would actually lead to a catalyst, because there's really no reason for them to start arguing other than, oh, we have to break them. We have to have them start to break apart because plot point. It was one of the more disappointing things in this film, that it just chose to ignore all that character development between Bastian and his dad in the last one. It pisses me off is what it does, because it's bullshit. Like, come on. You're going to write this and ignore a major plot development in this franchise that's supposed to be connected, right? This trilogy is supposed to be connected, and you don't keep a major plot point from the last one. It's the dad found out about the book, which had made them connect better. Right? And think about that, too. You have that connection with them. They know about the book. Now that the book is back, what do they do about the two new people in their life? The mom, the daughter, all that stuff. They could add to it. But no, we just ignore it. Because they either didn't watch the last one, or were too lazy to figure out how to incorporate it. So as I was getting ready to do this review, I was trying to think, what kind of rating would I give it? I said at the time, I don't think it's a fry in hell. And it's close. But I would still say it's a very, 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 very low. Like one sneeze and it's going to fall over the line. Not worth your time. Yeah, it's so close. But I can't outright let it fry in hell because I don't think it's that bad, but it's close. So close, like I said, if it sneezed, it's going to hell. But just, yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Neverending Story 3? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.